You know what's worse than betrayal? Filming it live. That's what I did. Not in secret. Not in shadows. I set up the camera, hit go live, and looked the two of them dead in the eyes while the world watched. But let's rewind. Because to understand why I did it, you need to know how picture-perfect our life looked before it cracked. My name is Jason Carter. I'm 38 years old. If you watch anything automotive on YouTube, there's a good chance you've seen my face, breaking down suspension upgrades, test driving prototype EVs, or taking a Mustang through a mountain pass with a GoPro on the dash. My channel, Drive-A-Bee, started in a borrowed garage and now pulls over 2 million subscribers and six-figure brand deals. My wife, well, ex-wife, technically, but we'll get to that, was just as visible. Alyssa Carter, the soft-voiced, glowing-skinned, ever-smiling lifestyle queen of beauty and travel. Her world was rose-gold tripods, designer flats, and matching sets from brands that charged $200 for joggers. Her YouTube was filled with phrases like self-care, intentional living, and the light in Morocco is just different. We were the internet's favorite couple. We knew our angles. We had a formula. I brought grit, tech, torque stats. She brought softness, elegance, peaceful energy. We even did a couple of crossover videos, her rating my outfits, me rating her skincare packaging. It felt fun, harmless, strategic, and for a while, maybe it was. We weren't faking love. Not at first. We built our brands side by side, cheering each other on from different rooms. We shared iced coffee and TikTok drafts. We made playlists for road trips we never took. But then the content started coming first. She'd say things like, "Don't touch that breakfast yet. I haven't filmed it." Or, "Can you laugh again?" The mic didn't pick it up. We went from living our life to performing it. The cameras didn't just document. They directed. Our house in Austin became more of a studio than a home. Her side had white oak shelves, soft rugs, velvet chairs with used corners designed for Instagram. My side smelled like rubber, had parts laid out on tool carts, tripods balanced on stools. We stopped filming together. We stopped watching each other's content. We even started eating at different times, she intermittent fasting, me just trying not to miss sunset lighting. At night, she'd be up late editing a GRWM video or chatting with sponsors over wine. I'd be under a car, chasing a noise in the suspension or tweaking my lighting rig for the next shoot. We weren't angry. We just weren't anything. And that's when I noticed Dylan. Dylan Shaw, photographer to half the influencer scene in Austin. Mid-40s, easy smile, charming in a harmless, artsy way. He ran a boutique studio downtown with exposed brick, hanging Edison bulbs, and a subscription espresso bar. He'd been around for years, shooting both of us on and off. Alyssa always said he got her angles. I didn't mind, until I did. At first it was little things. Him showing up for shoots he wasn't booked on. Her talking about him more, laughing a little too hard at his jokes, texting when she thought I wasn't looking. Then I started seeing his name in her calendar. Not marked Dylan. Just studio work. A meeting here. A late session there. A weekend campaign that didn't need video, just still content. Once, I asked who else was on set. She said, "Just Dylan. He's the only one who knows how to shoot in that light." That was the moment I felt it. Not proof. Not panic. Just silence. The kind of silence you hear when a car stops working, and you know before the lights even flicker. We'd grown apart. I could accept that. But growing closer to someone else, in secret, that was something else entirely. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted to believe it was innocent. A working relationship. A creative connection. I told myself not to be that guy. Paranoid, insecure, looking for drama where there was none. But deep down, I already knew. And once you know, you can't unknow. You just start listening harder. And watching everything. Like your marriage is a machine you're about to take apart. Trust doesn't break all at once. It stretches, frays, and then, with a whisper, it snaps. The first time I met Dylan Shaw, he shook my hand with a grip that was just a little too firm for a guy who takes pictures of lip gloss. He had that confident, creative guy energy, the kind that walks into a room like the lighting was made for him. He wore black jeans, black tees, and talked about texture and natural light, the way I talked about suspension tuning and tire grip. He owned Civic Lens Studio, a trendy little spot in downtown Austin that booked solid through word of mouth. Half the influencer community worked with him. And to be fair, the guy was talented. His shots were sharp, cinematic. He made everything, and everyone, look good, including my wife. Especially my wife. At first, I didn't think much of it. She'd worked with a dozen photographers. Some were friends, some were total pros who barely said 2 words. But Dylan? He stayed. He lingered after shoots. Texted her preview shots. At 11 p.m. showed up early to help with lighting. Then stuck around for a glass of wine and brand chat. She'd smile in a way I hadn't seen in months when he walked in the door. And suddenly, shoots that used to be 2 hours became 5. Weekdays turned into weekends. He started popping up in her stories. Just in the background. Out of focus. But there. Once, I walked into the kitchen and saw them reviewing photos at the table. His hand brushed hers when he pointed at the screen. She didn't flinch. Didn't pull away. Just smiled. I told myself I was imagining it. But I wasn't. One night, I came home late from a shoot. Alyssa had said she was at the studio, shooting a cozy fall lookbook. I didn't think twice. Grabbed takeout. Figured I'd surprise her. Bring dinner. Sit in on the edit, like we used to. I parked outside the studio and saw only one car in the lot. His. I waited. 30 minutes passed. No sign of anyone leaving. I didn't knock. Didn't call. I just drove home, dinner cold in the passenger seat. That's when it shifted from suspicion to certainty. From that point on, I stopped making excuses. I started making observations. I checked her calendar, screened her texts, read the captions under her posts, looking for what wasn't written. She started getting better at hiding it, but not good enough. I noticed she stopped inviting me to brand dinners. Started dressing differently for simple shoots. Wore perfume to the studio. She even changed her passcode. It was subtle, but betrayal always is, until it isn't. The final confirmation came from a mutual friend of ours, someone on Alyssa's team who thought I deserved better. I won't name her. Doesn't matter. What matters is what she told me. She's not just working with Dylan, she said. She's seeing him. Just like that. No drama. No denial. Just the last missing piece. The next morning, I stood in the garage, stared at the same car I was planning to review that week, and knew exactly what I had to do. I wasn't going to blow up. I wasn't going to make a scene. I was going to do what I do best. Film it. Some people chase closure. I wanted confirmation. Not feelings. Just facts. I didn't want to make accusations without proof. That's not who I am. When a car makes a noise, I don't guess. I listen. I pop the hood. I get under it. This wasn't any different. So I made a call. Ben Collins. Old friend from college. Used to shoot wedding videos. Now works private contracts. Mostly for law firms and local business owners looking to verify things quietly. He's not a hacker, not a sleaze. Just a guy with a camera, a clean license, and a quiet sense of honor. Ben, I said, I need to know what's going on. Not because I want to blow up her life. Just so I can stop lying to myself. He didn't ask 100 questions. Just said, send me the schedule. And a photo of the guy. I sent both within the hour. Over the next 5 days, he did what he does best, watched. He didn't sneak through windows. Didn't plant bugs. Just followed patterns. Dylan's car arriving outside the studio long after business hours. Alyssa's car pulling in 10 minutes later. 3 hours unaccounted for. No assistants. No makeup crew. No deliveries. Just the two of them. One day, he followed them from the studio to a wine bar downtown. They sat at the back corner booth. Too close. Too relaxed. Then he followed them to a boutique hotel. They didn't stay long. But they stayed long enough. He delivered everything in a flash drive taped inside a plain manila envelope. No commentary. No shock. Just the evidence. Photos. Timestamps. Room numbers. Door shots. Car placements. Enough to leave no room for doubt. I watched the clips in silence. Then I shut my laptop, walked into the kitchen, and made coffee. Same way I always did. But something inside me had shifted. There was no pain. No explosion. Just a strange, still certainty. Like I had finally stepped out of the fog. I spent the next few hours alone in my garage. Not wrenching. Not filming. Just thinking. And then the plan started to take shape. Not revenge. Not drama. Just exposure. Truth, with a camera rolling. That was when the idea hit me. What if I brought them both into my world? The one I control? The space I know better than anyone? My car. My set. My rules. I'd pitch it as a live drive segment. Something new. Something real. A different format for the channel. Off script, human, high energy. Alyssa would be flattered. Dylan wouldn't say no to more screen time. He always liked being in the background. Now I'd put him front and center. And me? I'd be behind the wheel, steering the entire story. I wrote a loose outline. New SUV test drive. Full cabin audio. Candid thoughts. 2 guests on board for comfort and layout feedback. Raw reactions, no cuts. The perfect cover. Alyssa would think it was a creative push. A collab. A comeback moment for our fading couple image. Dylan would think it was content. What they didn't know? The engine wasn't the only thing getting tested. When you give people a spotlight, they'll either shine or burn. I waited 3 days before mentioning the idea. We were in the kitchen, each on opposite ends of the island. Alyssa was finishing a brand pitch on her iPad. Something about resort wear and sunset silhouettes. I was eating leftovers out of a Tupperware. I'm thinking of changing things up, I said casually. She didn't look up. On the channel? Yeah. I want to try a new format. More real-time. Less polished. Kind of a test drive vlog hybrid. Now she looked up. That's actually smart, she said. People want raw content now. I nodded slowly. Exactly. Raw. I was thinking, what if we shot a live drive episode? Me at the wheel. You in the passenger seat. Dylan in the back. Like a full cabin experience. Real voices. Real reactions. She blinked. You want me in one of your car reviews? Why not? I smiled. People miss seeing us together. That part was true. Every other comment on her last post said so. She hesitated, just for a second, then softened. Okay, could be fun. I turned to her. Think Dylan would be up for it? She shrugged. If I ask, sure. He'll think it's a vibe. I knew he would. By that afternoon, it was locked in. Saturday, noon. A new luxury SUV from one of our partners. Full camera rig, wireless mics, dash audio, stabilized interior shot. 3 people. 1 cabin. Live on all platforms. They thought it was collaboration. But it was calibration. I spent that Friday night in the garage, fine-tuning camera angles. 1 wide lens facing the cabin. 1 pointed at me. 1 dead on to catch the back seat. Mic check. Battery check. Stream encoder tested and timed. I ran it like I'd run any launch. Precise, quiet, professional. This wasn't chaos. This was broadcast. When Saturday came, I dressed simple. Dark tee, clean jacket, no logos. I wasn't playing the auto expert today. I was playing the host. Calm. Centered. Unflinching. Alyssa came down in a cream-colored blouse, hair perfectly undone, that effortless glow she'd perfected years ago. Do we have a shot list? She asked. We won't need one, I said. We're going natural. She laughed. You're turning into me. No, I said under my breath. I'm just learning how to aim the lens. Dylan pulled up 10 minutes later. All smiles, camera bag over one shoulder. This thing looks slick, he said, nodding at the SUV. Brand new, I said. You'll be the first passenger ever. We mounted up. I walked through the tech with them, dash camera rolling, audio synced, stream launch button primed. Just act natural, I said. Pretend the cameras aren't there. I watched their body language. Casual, unbothered, totally unaware. At 11:59, I opened the app and hit go live. Red light. We were on. Hey everyone, I said, smiling into the camera. Welcome to a very special edition of Drive-A-Bee. Today's not about numbers, specs, or trim levels. Alyssa waved at the lens. It's about vibes, she said, with a practiced laugh. Dylan grinned in the back seat. And maybe a little chaos. I smiled. You have no idea. The chat was already buzzing. OMG, Alyssa on Drive-A-Bee? Dylan too? This is gonna be good. Couple content is back, smiling face with hard eyes. We pulled out of the driveway. 3 influencers. 1 car. 1 secret. And 50,000 people watching. You don't trap people with force. You trap them with comfort. Until truth is the only thing left in the air. We rolled through the Austin Hills with the camera steady and the sun kissing the dashboard just right. The SUV glided like it was floating, every corner of it pristine. Luxury leather, touchscreens glowing, suspension so smooth it could lull you into confession. Alyssa turned in her seat, smiling into the wide-angle dash cam. Honestly, this is the comfiest car I've ever sat in. She was a natural in front of the lens, voice soft, posture effortless. She knew her light, knew how to say nothing and still make it sound valuable. Dylan leaned forward between the seats, laughing. I feel like I'm in a spaceship. This headrest's more supportive than my therapist. The chat loved it. Dylan's hilarious face with tears of joy. Alyssa needs to co-host more. They've got such good energy, 100 points. I played along. That was the plan. All right, I said, keeping my tone light. Let's break it down. Ride quality, cabin experience, and passenger feedback. No specs, just feelings. I glanced at Alyssa. How's the front seat? She leaned back, stretching her legs. Spacious. Soft. I could sleep here. I turned to Dylan in the mirror. And the back. 10 out of 10, he said. I've never felt more secure while doing absolutely nothing. I laughed. Glad to hear it. That's what today's about. Really, feeling safe. Alyssa gave me a quick look. Not nervous. Not suspicious. Just curious. Since when do you get emotional in car reviews? She joked. I smiled at the road. Since I realized no one cares about horsepower if they don't trust the driver. Silence, just for a beat. Then I made a slow left turn onto an empty road. Trees arching overhead, the kind of stretch I use when I want the car, and the people inside it. To be honest. Let's talk about honesty, I said. Alyssa's smile faltered, just a flicker. Dylan shifted in the back seat. What do you mean? She asked, still half laughing. I mean, I said, this car is engineered for full transparency. From the glass roof to the live voice analysis. Every button responds in real time. Every detail is intentional. I paused. And today's episode is no different. Now they were listening. I dropped the gear into manual mode, not for speed. Just control. The chat began reacting. Wait, what's going on? He's building to something. Why does this feel intense? Suddenly flushed face. I kept my eyes on the road. For those of you watching, I said to the audience, this isn't just a review. It's a demonstration. Dylan leaned back slightly. Of what? Of truth, I said calmly. And what happens when it's ignored too long? Alyssa turned her whole body to face me now. Jason, what are you doing? I didn't look at her. Instead, I slowed the car just slightly. I'm telling a story. Ours. Yours. His. Dylan's voice tightened. Maybe this isn't the place. It's exactly the place, I said, still smiling. Because everyone watching thinks they know us. Thinks we're perfect. Thinks this is content. I glanced into the rear view. But some content writes itself. Alyssa's tone dropped. Jason, you're scaring me. No, I said. I'm showing you what it feels like to be trapped in something you didn't agree to. To have no edit button. To hear a truth you can't mute. The chat was now exploding. What is happening? He knows. He knows. This is not a car review anymore. Alyssa's voice cracked. Can we end the stream? No. I said, I still on the road. Because now we're getting to the reason we're really here. I took a breath. And said it. Dylan. Alyssa. I know about the two of you. The silence that followed hit harder than anything I'd ever filmed. No one moved. No one spoke. Not them. Not the chat. Not even me. For a second, it felt like the world had stopped. And then, everything started. Some moments are too raw for retakes. Too honest for edits. You don't plan them. You just aim the camera and let them burn. Alyssa froze. Dylan leaned back, his seatbelt suddenly feeling too tight. The silence in the SUV stretched so long it became its own sound. The hum of the road, the buzz of tension, and the high-pitched whine of their perfect little image cracking open. I didn't turn off the stream. I didn't raise my voice. I just looked ahead and said it again, clearly. I know. About the studio. The trips. The texts. The hotels. The timing. All of it. Alyssa opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. It's not. Jason, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, I said. You thought I'd never see it. Because I was too busy under the hood to notice what was breaking inside the car. Dylan's voice came out flat. This is private. No. I snapped. It was private. Until you made it performance. I glanced at the rearview camera. How many times were you in the background of her content? How many times did you smile at my house like we were friends? How many lies did you both tell before it became easier than the truth? Alyssa's hands were shaking now. We didn't mean for it to happen. That made me laugh. A short, bitter sound. You didn't mean for it to get caught. The chat was melting down. He knew all along, face screaming in fear. I feel like I'm watching a movie. This is how you handle betrayal. With receipts and a seatbelt. She looked stunned, flushed face. Dylan is dead silent. Guilty much? Dylan spoke again, finally. It wasn't about hurting you. It just happened. I turned in my seat for the first time, eyes locking with his. You're a married man. His face changed. Just for a second. Enough for Alyssa to catch it too. Her head whipped toward him. What? Dylan stammered. We were separated. When? She snapped. When we were in Sedona? When you stayed over after the Bali shoot? When you told me you hadn't talked to her in months? He didn't answer. That was enough. You lied to both of us, she said, her voice breaking. Now it was her turn to crumble. She turned to me, desperate. Jason, I didn't know. I thought. You thought you were in control, I said quietly. But the truth has a way of showing up, even if it needs a live stream to do it. The chat exploded again. This is brutal, but I can't look away. This is justice. On camera. In 4K. He's not even angry. He's done. Alyssa reached for the dash. Please, just end the stream. We'll talk. Just us. I looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel pain. Just release. No, I said. Because I've spent the last year living in a version of our life that only existed through filters. You got your story out there. Your angles. Your captions. I pointed at the camera. This is mine. I slowed the car, pulling off into a scenic overlook above the city. The same one where we once shot a road trip essentials video and kissed in front of a sunset for the thumbnail. How fitting. I put the car in park. I think we're done here. I reached forward, tapped the screen, and ended the stream. Red light off. Camera silent. Everything else. Still loud. Alyssa slumped back in her seat. Dylan just stared out the window. I opened the door, stepped out, and let the warm air hit my face like a finish line. Behind me, they sat in silence, surrounded not by leather and tech, but by the sound of consequences finally arriving. Truth doesn't echo in silence, it detonates. By the time I pulled into the garage and turned off the ignition, my phone had already frozen twice from the flood of notifications. The stream had peaked at over 180,000 live viewers. Clips were already flooding TikTok, Twitter, Reddit. People were editing side-by-sides. Alyssa smiling in past vlogs while Dylan stood behind her, casually cropped into corners. Every frame now had new meaning. Every smile, a question mark. It wasn't just drama. It was a reckoning. I didn't post anything that night. Didn't go online. Didn't text. I poured a glass of water, sat on the back deck, and listened to the cicadas. Meanwhile, the internet was catching fire. Within 12 hours, 5 of Alyssa's biggest brand sponsors had quietly removed her from their homepages. Overnight, her Instagram comment section turned into a courtroom. So much for authenticity. Was the whole marriage just content? You lost more than a husband. You lost credibility. And Dylan? He didn't even try to explain. His studio's social accounts went dark, then private, then offline completely. Someone on Reddit found his wife's private account. A single post appeared 2 days later, a photo of an empty closet, captioned, "Starting over." He'd been kicked out. By Monday, Civic Lens Studio had a closed for renovation sign on the door. But everyone knew the truth. There was nothing left to renovate. The influencer community reacted the way it always does, some loud, some silent. A few tried to defend Alyssa. It's a private matter. People grow apart. We don't know the full story. But the audience wasn't having it. Because this wasn't gossip. This was betrayal, filmed with perfect sound and a steady dashboard camera. Alyssa's next attempt came Tuesday morning. She posted a reel. No filter. Wet hair. Dim lighting. Her voice was soft, cracked, wounded. I made mistakes. I lost sight of who I was. Jason didn't deserve what I did to him. And neither did you. She paused. All I can do is try to heal. To learn. To earn your trust back. It might have worked if we hadn't all seen the live version already. The comments weren't cruel. Just cold. Too late. You knew what you were doing. We watched you lie, in real time. By the end of the week, her follower count had dropped by nearly 300,000. 2 brands made public statements, reassessing partnerships. Others just stopped tagging her. Dylan, as far as I knew, had left Austin. Rumors said he was staying with a friend in Arizona. Some said he was trying to freelance. Others said he was done. None of it mattered. Because in a space built on trust, they had spent all of theirs. They weren't villains. But they were no longer invisible. And now, they weren't untouchable either. You don't always hear the moment a spotlight shuts off, but you can feel the cold it leaves behind. After the apology video tanked, Alyssa vanished. No morning routines. No soft-lit skincare rituals. No coffee pour B-rolls with lofi music. Her followers noticed immediately, not because she was missed, but because her absence was louder than her content ever was. For a few days, her page stayed frozen in time. Her last grid post, taken before the livestream fallout, showed her sitting cross-legged in a linen dress, smiling at nothing, captioned, "Creating peace in the chaos." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Then, 6 days after the stream, she reappeared. A new YouTube video dropped. Title, "Finding Myself Again, a Healing Series." The thumbnail was a frame of her looking down, one hand to her temple, wrapped in a wool sweater, hair loose, no makeup. The title card was in soft cursive. Cream background. Warm light. It was Alyssa's signature aesthetic, but dialed down. Intimate. Vulnerable. Designed for redemption. I watched it. Not out of resentment. Just observation. Like inspecting damage after a wreck. She sat on a neutral couch. No plants. No shelves. No brand names in sight. Just a mug in her hands and a carefully controlled sadness in her voice. "I know many of you are hurting," she said. "I've read your messages. I've seen the disappointment. And I carry it with me." She paused. "Perfectly. This isn't about blame. This isn't about excuses. It's about understanding how easy it is to lose yourself when you live for the lens." She never said my name. Never said Dylan's either. She said things like, "There was disconnection. Sometimes, when someone listens, it can feel like love. Jason and I were on very different roads for a long time." There was crying. Quiet tears that never smudged. "At minute 5, she said, "I wasn't trying to deceive anyone. I was just tired of pretending." Then came the call to action. "If you've ever been broken, I hope this space becomes a home for your healing too." It ended with soft piano, a fade to beige, and a whisper of her old logo. The comments were open for 2 hours. Then she turned them off. Because people weren't clapping. They were questioning. This isn't healing. This is rebranding. Say the words, "I cheated." You weren't broken. You were just careless. Real healing starts with truth, not lighting. Within 12 hours, the video disappeared. The next post came on Instagram. A single photo of a gray shoreline. Her silhouette in the distance, looking out to sea. Captioned, "Sometimes starting over means disappearing for a while." By the next morning, her profile was set to private. A week later, it was gone entirely. No announcement. No farewell. Just deleted. No fanfare. Only absence. And Dylan? He didn't even attempt the performance. No video. No apology. No explanation. He vanished faster than she did. His business shut down within days. The website was pulled. Yelp page closed. Mutual friends said he left town, probably Arizona. Someone claimed he was crashing with a cousin and working warehouse shifts to get by. His wife? She posted once on a private account. A photo of an empty closet. Captioned, "Peace, pretense." After that, nothing. They didn't fight the fall. Because there was nothing left to fight with. And that was the real story. Not the scandal. Not the betrayal. The silence. Because when your identity depends on being believed, and no one believes you anymore, you don't fade. You evaporate. And what shocked me most wasn't how fast it all fell apart. It's how quiet the world became when they were gone. No trending hashtags. No apologies reposted. Just unfollowing. Just unsubscribing. Just moving on. No explosion. Just the sound of a door closing on people who spent too long pretending there was nothing behind it. Peace doesn't come when the noise stops. It comes when you stop needing the noise at all. It had been 2 months since the live stream. 2 months since I drove the truth through the heart of a lie. Since I put both hands on the wheel and told the world exactly what had happened, without shouting, without bitterness, without leaving my seat. And in those 2 months, something strange had happened. I became visible, not famous, not viral in the clickbait sense, just seen. People recognized me at gas stations, on grocery runs, in line at coffee shops. But they didn't whisper. They didn't take photos. They spoke. A man in his 50s stopped me in Home Depot. "You said what I couldn't say 10 years ago," he told me. I didn't even know how to begin. A younger guy messaged me, said he'd been living with someone who cheated, and that watching the live stream gave him the strength to leave. Even women reached out. "You did it with dignity," one wrote. "You didn't try to destroy her. You just stopped letting her destroy you." And that, I think, is what changed me the most. Because when all this began, I thought maybe I'd end up broken. But instead, I just stopped pretending. I kept the house. Alyssa never fought for it. I think part of her knew it wasn't hers anymore. The lights, the layout, it had been designed for content, not for living. She moved out quietly. No cameras. No post. The guest room where she kept her PR packages is now just a room. I bought a real plant. I let it die. Bought another. Kept it alive. The garage is still mine. But now it's quieter. I film less often. Only when I want to. I turned down 2 media interviews. Declined 3 podcast requests. Because the point was never to go viral. It was to go home. To myself. The channel didn't suffer. If anything, it grew. My subscriber count jumped by over 300,000 in a month. Brands that had ghosted me years ago suddenly wanted meetings. But this time, I asked better questions. I didn't just look at the rate. I looked at the values. I didn't want noise. I wanted real. Even my content shifted. Less technical breakdowns. More voice. More heart. A video titled "The Car That Carried the Truth" got 6.4 million views. I didn't name names. Didn't recycle drama. I just told the story from the driver's seat. Straight. Unapologetic. Me. And it was enough. My days look different now. I wake up early still. Habit. But I don't check analytics first. I make real coffee, not the aesthetic kind. I walk the neighborhood. Sometimes I don't film a single thing. And the silence? It's not heavy anymore. It's free. The kids I'd mentored on my crew, young editors, camera guys, they still stop by sometimes. We joke. We shoot. We share real meals. And I laugh now. Fully. The kind of laugh that fills your chest instead of your feet. Alyssa? I haven't heard from her. Not since she left. I think she meant it, what she posted about disappearing. Maybe she found something true in the quiet too. I don't wish her harm. I don't wish her anything. I'm done wishing. She had her lens. I had mine. And in the end, what saved me wasn't what I said in the car. It was that I said it at all. Not for likes. Not for content. But because the truth deserved to be told, and I deserve to be the one to tell it. So now, when I sit in a driver's seat, mic clipped, camera rolling, I don't perform. I speak. Clearly. Calmly. Fully. And people listen. Not because I'm polished, but because I'm not hiding. The last video I filmed wasn't a review. It was a drive. Just me, dusk light, and a single sentence to close it. Sometimes the cleanest road forward is the one where you finally leave the script behind. Then I put the camera down and kept driving.